Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Drawing Expressions live streaming here on YouTube. My name's Parz. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for making this next hour or so part of your creative journey, part of your creative experience. So before we do anything else, before we really get into the stuff, quick note, we are live. And I have 5 cats, so you can do the math. And there's one just right there. So we may have an appearance, we may not. So just be aware. Okay, anyway, what are we doing? What's going to happen today? Well, let's start talking about that. Okay. Things to know. The one thing that I always love to highlight on this is that we operate with guidelines actually, not even just during this hour. If you're inspired by me and what I'm saying to write and to explore, apply the guidelines. The guidelines rule, which seems a little weird, but okay. Apply the guideline, which is you bend them. They just don't break. Right? Rules break, and that's just no fun when you break rules. Allow the guidelines to bend. Let them do their job. Okay, so that is the big note on the things to know. Over here under class structure, we, of course, have the 2 sections, the planner and the pantser, to honor the 2 types of writing. Today's planner is going to be, I've called it personal perspective, and the pantser is going to be a different form of personal perspective. So that's kind of what we're going to be working on today, is ourselves as observers, ourselves observing as we observe, and putting ourselves into the situations, into the stories, into what it is that we are writing. And the last thing I'd like to mention here now, open mic is no longer called open mic as of like an hour or 2 ago. It is now called free expressions. And so instead of drawing expressions, it's called free expressions. Clever, I know. So I will change the screen for next time. Didn't have time enough to do it today and risk breaking my tech. And if you've seen the lives in the past and the classes in the past, you'll know that, tech can be a little snarky if you go and try and change it just beforehand. So we'll give it plenty of time to get used to the changes. So free expressions, but it's still the same event. It is still come and hang out. Let's do art together. Let us do like hang out with friends. We have prompts that that are provided each time. Alicia does this magnificent job of providing prompts that appeal not only to the visual artists within drawing expressions, but also to the creative writing artists. And so it's a great old time. I hope you'll come out and join us. So in North America, that is Friday evening, and if you are in Asia or Australia, that's going to be your Saturday morning, or even afternoon. I don't know. Time zone-y things. Okay. Now that we've got all of that through, let us move on to our breathing and our stretching before we move into our first writing exercise. So for this, to get into the writing mood, we do square breathing, which is where we inhale for a certain number. I use 5. You hold for that same number, and then exhale, and then hold again, 5. Okay, here we go. Let's do it together. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now breathing in and stretch a little. And now exhale. There we go. I feel a lot better. I feel ready to write. Quick note, just thought of this. We have within our YouTube channel a playlist called Meditative Minutes. And so if you ever need a meditative minute just to breathe and relax and to take it in, go check that out, right? 3 of them, I think, so far that are in there. There's more coming. And yeah, use those. They're free. Okay, let's begin. And this is the part where I get the, there we go, getting the technology ready to run. Make everything all neat. There we go. And we can bring it in without all of the messy stuff. Okay, personal perspectives. So actually, I'm going to, since I've announced the title, I'm going to bring it back to talk to the room here. Okay, now, what are we doing specifically? What is it that we're doing? What is it we're trying to accomplish? So what I have found is ever since I did the haiku live stream, that was my first live stream, and at the time I had no idea that it was going to become such a large part of my creative experience, my writing journey, but it has it's amazed me, frankly. Each week, like I said, we have now 3 expressions, formerly open mic, and we have the prompts. And like I said, you know, Alicia provides these wonderful prompts, and so I'm able to look at them and to generate ideas from them and then start to write haiku based on them. And now, every time there's a new image, so it's a new week, I'm writing at least 10 from different perspectives, different viewpoints, different angles. Sometimes it's just right there what's on the page or in the picture. Other times it's stuff that I associate. And so sometimes there are things in there that only I know or only a small group of people will know. Like you can like even put in like an inside joke. It doesn't necessarily have to be, it doesn't have to make sense to everybody, right? It's just, it's what you are expressing to yourself. Now I publish them all. And I do that on our Blogger page. So if you want to check that out, you can find the link through Linktree. So you'll just see the whole list that get written. And yeah, you can get a flavor for what it is that I do. And I've copied a few, and I'm going to show them now to show you kind of what it is that I'm trying to get to, right? Because I think examples are going to make more sense of what I'm trying to shoot for. Before I show the examples, I just want to run through a quick exercise to get our minds sort of focused in on this idea. So I'm going to bring us back to the share. So let's take a minute and let's just think about our life experiences. What have we done in the past? And it can be anything. Let's think about your interests, your likes, your dislikes. All of these things that make you, you, and that make your experience, your experience. Everything's valid, everything's okay. And on your paper, just note a few of them down. They're going to serve as sort of our helper for our prompts. Okay? So I'm going to give you a minute, and you can get some stuff written down. And I'm just going to enjoy a beverage. So please excuse me while you note the stuff down on your paper. And I'm sure you saw one of our cats walking through. That is, she of many names. Rory, or Royster is what she's commonly called. Because she roars like a lion. She's a Maine Coon, so she vocalizes something fierce. Anyway, okay, I'm going to assume that you've started to jog the memory a little bit, starting to think about who it is that you are, what you've done, what you like, what you don't. Perfect. Okay, so let's set that aside, and we'll come back to that. Okay, and I'm going to scroll, and we're going to move on. Okay, so why are we doing this? So writing is more than simply stringing words together one after another. I realized after my last live, and I read that essay by Neil Gaiman, and that was called Where Do Ideas Come From? And for him, what he said is you get an idea, and then you start to write. Seems fairly elementary, right? But I think he missed a step. And the idea, you first have to observe it. Okay, so when you're writing, we observe the idea. We get ideas about the idea. We start to work our way through the what ifs and I wonder and all the different questions that can come from that exploration, right? And then once we've explored, then we start to write and we start putting the words one after another, but we're putting ourselves into it as well. Okay, so it's an opportunity to insert yourself into what you write. And another key element is to see with any given idea, and I'm going to show you some pictures, and okay, these are just some prompts that we've had on now free expressions. Some pictures, and then so these ideas spring forth from these pictures. Okay, so I'm going to bring up a few examples again to show you more detail what it is that I'm talking about. And so I'm going to scroll up. So here we go. This is the first picture, and this is a cable car in Lisbon, Portugal. Okay, so I wrote 14 haikus on this, and I grabbed a couple. Scroll again. So electrified car on an inclined street. Step up to step off. Okay, this was the first impression that I got looking at the overall picture, and that was the focus, right? Clearly it's the cable car sitting right in front. The second thing that caught my attention, and it may not be big enough to see, but the cable car is pulled up in front of a door, and above the door is the number 72. Oh dear. I just lost my little wind protection thingy, and so let me just fix that real quick, because it may get a little breezy with the fan blowing right across it. So anyways, the number 72. Now, there's nothing particularly special about 72 in writing, but in investing, there is. 72, there's a rule of 72. I'm going to stop for a second because I'm not focusing on this. Let's get this fixed. Sorry about this. There we go. Okay. And now it's come semi-unclipped. Other side. Okay, let's see if it... your thing. Okay, let's see if I can just have it dangle a little bit. That should be okay. Okay. Sorry about that. But I didn't want to have the wind blowing across the mic. Okay, so talking about 72. So in investing, there's something called the rule of 72. So you take the interest rate and you multiply it by the number of years, it should be 72. So if you take $1,000 and you put it into an investment and it earns 10%, it'll take 7.2 years, roughly, to double from 1,000 to 2,000. Okay, so I used that idea of 72 over the door on this next haiku. Compounding incline at door 72 doubled elevation, right? So we're just comparing the theme of the slope and the elevation and the rule of 72, and what can we do with that? Okay, so that was just a way to sort of insert myself in. Now, if you're not familiar with the rule of 72, this is going to make no sense whatsoever. But if you do know it, it's something that you've just teased in to let your readers know, hey, check that out. Okay, I'm going to scroll, and we're going to do another one. So this one is a hurricane, satellite photo of a hurricane on planet Earth. And I wrote white spiral, blue marble, black space. Now, blue marble is the term that, oh, I had his name just a second ago. Oops, hang on. Oh, what was his name? He did Cosmos. He's a famous astronomer, and his name just fell out of my head. So anyways, he used to call it the Earth, the blue marble in space. So again, this is a reference to the astronomer, and also the fact that I have an astronomy degree. And so that's something that I tossed in. Not many people know about the astronomy degree. Not many people know about Cosmos, the TV show, when I was growing up. So that's another avenue, another angle. So things that I've put in that somebody just reading this out of the blue wouldn't ordinarily know. And let's scroll and move on. We have this. This is a boat, and propped up on its little tripod with the chain, and clearly the focus is the chain. So we have bedrock to boulder, then to pebbles and sand, and always the chain, right? Because it's just the forefront. And then wood, rock, metal, utilitarian brown, incomplete bleaching, right? So we're working through sort of elements and whatnot. But here's the one that I wanted to really highlight. Forcibly retired, seeks gainful employment with reimbursed travel, right? So we're injecting some humor into the thing, right? So it's just, how can we use something that's just so obviously, I mean, it's not abandoned, but it looks abandoned, doesn't it? To my eye, it did. Okay, moving on. I think this is the last one. So, okay, so this is a Buddha statue that we've got sitting out in our garden space, our cafe space. And we can insert our beliefs into these haiku as well. A breath, a sigh, erect and head held high, no one's watching. What am I trying to say there? It's the Buddha is doing what the Buddha does with no one observing to make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. It's just he's doing it because that's what he does. Okay, and then this other one, swim the cosmic stream, chop wood, carry water, same. This is another expression of everything is all part of this experience that we call life. And whether you are working, chop wood, carry water, or you are experiencing the ultimate in divinity, it's all the same. And so, at least for me, right? That's sort of it's an argument that I don't want to get into. It's just my belief, and so that's what I expressed here. And I think, yep. So that's the last of them. So this is what we're shooting for. This is kind of what we're going to take the opportunity. I've got a couple of pictures, and we're going to write down just these things that kind of come to mind. Do they need to be haiku? No. Can they just be a word? Yeah, absolutely. Can they be a phrase? Can they be a feeling? Can they be a thought? Can they just, what is it that something has, it's been invoked or evoked? Okay, so let me scroll here. So we're going to go back first to our list of ideas, right? Refresh our minds again. Who are we? What do we do? What is our interests? Who are we? Right? it's funny that to kind of remember who are we, but it's going to help, I think, because we can easily get lost inside these prompts. Okay, so now that we've done that list, I'm going to scroll and I'm going to bring up both pictures onto the screen. Can I? No, I can't fit them both. Okay, so I'm going to do this one first. So go ahead and if you want to grab a screenshot, take a photo, quick thing. I'm just going to leave it on the screen here for a second, and then I'll move on to the other one. And we'll address each one individually. So if you want to pick one or you want to pick the other, please do. I'm going to do both sequentially. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one. So here we go. And so, very different feelings for each one, very different subject matter. Good. Okay, so I'm going to bring us back to the first one. All right, and I'm going to hide Mr. Froggy. I'm going to bring my writing tablet out. Let's see. Actually, what I want to do, I'm going to scroll here. Just hang with me. Hang with me. I can't do that here. Okay. I am going to call up my working page. Here we go. Okay. And all right. So we have the first photo. And sorry, forgot to mention, this is where I start to work out loud. So if you wanted to drop the volume and do your own thing or what have you and not listen to me work through my process, totally cool, totally fine. We will wrap it up and then bring it back around to the breath and striege. Is real quick, because I did not plan as well as I thought I did. So I'm just going to snap a photo. That's not what I want to do. I want to flip that around. So here we go. I'm doing what I'm hoping you are going to do. And that's a video. Let's take a photo. There we go. And have that up. Page up on. Maybe let's run through that first. Oh, there we go. Okay. My apologies. I inadvertently put my screen onto the keyboard. Weird. Okay, let us. Okay, my apologies. For some reason, the sound has decided to just simply cut out. I don't understand why. So I've turned off the side fan. I'm working off of my. There it goes again. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, I am going to mute my mic, and I'm just going to work off the laptop, and that'll work. Okay. Okay. Sometimes technology, you know, it's just one of those things. And I can see it now working underneath everything sort of intermittently. Just odd. Okay. Here we go. So let's come back to the writing example and not worry about the sound tech, which I will figure out some other day, but not right now. Okay. So we have our image, and within our image, we have the tracks, we have the slope, the slope is forested. Okay. There's lovely color to the image. You can see that there is like blue shadow underneath the under the tracks. The land itself is quite brown tan, and there's white, right? So we can play with that. What else is there? Well, the tracks, they come from somewhere and they go somewhere. Maybe they take people, maybe they take freight. You know, who knows? Maybe it looks like they're very well maintained, so they're in active use, so we can use that as well. There's also the history that's sitting here, right? Originally, these tracks weren't here, right? What was there was probably the same stuff that sits above and below. It's the trees and the dirt and the living. And that's another thing as well. If you look closely, you don't see any green, right? So the season is not conducive right now to green. So it's probably some like a fall or like an early spring, even winter, right? So we can use all of that. So how do we encapsulate all of that into 3 lines, 575 max haiku structure? And you don't have to put it in a haiku, but I like to because it feels very contained. Okay, so what I'm going to focus on first is the rails, because the rails are really the highlight element of this image. And so what are we going to say about that? So rails go from where? Rails go from where? Okay, it's 4. That works. Syllables. And head off to where? And head off to where? Right? 6. Okay. And again, we don't have to go with the strict 575. Haiku, you don't want to go bigger, but you can certainly go smaller. Rails go from where and head off to where? Do I know? No, I don't know. I don't know where. And that's just sort of a start. It gets me sort of starting to get drawn into the image. And now I feel like I want to talk about maybe the history a little bit. what lay here? What lay here prior? What lay here prior? The movement that comes through. The movement. Whoops, get rid of the movement. That, a silly thing, that comes through. The movement that comes through. Okay, 6. What lay here prior? And I can actually put 2 to the movement that comes through, right? So we've got space for that. And here we go. What lay here prior to the movement that comes through? The trees, remember. Right? So now we're talking about the history. Let's maybe do 1, maybe 2 more, and then we can move on. But you see where it is that we're going. So I'm going to talk about the season now. Because again, we're not seeing the green, but that's where my attention is drawn. It's to the brownness, to the sleepy time of the Earth, right? So Earth's sleepy time. And why not call it sleepy time? Because we can play with that, right? It doesn't need to be all official sounding and like the season of the no, Earth's sleepy time. Rest from the stress of growth. Rest from the stress of growth, right? 6. To awaken, who knows, in spring, or will awaken in spring. Now I want to pause here and just note that we're putting out our ideas as our mind kind of flows through the image, and we see what is there for us. What are we observing? This is not going to be the final look to our haiku, right? Because we can rearrange the order, we can change the font, we can change the justification, right? Because right now it's left justified, right? It's all hard to the left side. You can bring it to the center. You can change your capitalizations. Mine sort of like it goes automatic for each of the first words, and that is not necessarily something that I want to have happen. I'm finding more often than not that I'd rather that they weren't there. So I will go back in and take them out, but I don't want to have to fight with the autocorrect right now because it puts them in there and insists that they need to be there. Okay, so just noticing again that these are just our ideas, they're not fully worked, right? That's another important aspect here. So let's find maybe another. I really like that shadow blue. It's just so odd, right? For a nature photo. So someone's taken a filter, applied like a blue filter to it, or whatever it takes to get blue to show up here. Because do you see blue in nature? No. Sky is blue, but ground cover, yeah, there's grays and browns and reds and purples and all sorts of things. Blue, nah, not there. So, because blue doesn't show up in nature, we can use that as part of this next haiku to help it indicate that this is man-made, right? Man-made, and also man observed when taking the photo. So, man laid, whoops, not lakes, laid steel ribbon, steel ribbons, man laid steel ribbons, right? 5. Twin tracks through twin tracks through nature's domain. Twin tracks through nature's domain, right? 7, it works. And now let's tag in the blue. And left is blue. Stain. So now we're not even calling it shadow, right? It's a stain, right? And so I'm saying here even a little bit of, isn't it a shame that we had to trample through nature in order to put the rails in? I mean, you know, economically or whatever, they probably need to be there, but isn't it a shame that it had to be? Okay. So that is our sort of a first working of this first image. So I'm going to take a second here and see if anyone has anything that they want to share on this first image. And while that happens, I'm going to make my way over to the second image. And so that is going to be me sliding through. An apology for the scrolling. Capture our other image. Take a photo. There we go. And call it up. Okay. All right. I don't see anything, so I'm going to come back to this second image. Okay, so our little froggy climbing a ladder of birds of paradise, the flowers that are just starting to open. I am going to pause for just a second before we move on to that second one, and I'm going to bring us back to this one here because Alicia, who is moderating for me today, has shared some haikus of her own. Moving deep shadows, leading east, never ending, crevices of dark. Approaching nap time, leaves fall away, roots struggle in, snowy winds welcome. And I wonder if that was supposed to be snuggle, not struggle, but struggle in. I mean, the earth gets hard. So, I mean, either read on that one. Grandma's house is near, holiday feast table set, eager eyes devour. I love that. So notice that she has, again, done sort of what I was doing, which is that first one with the looking at the photo, the shadows. She comes here to the second, which is taking that one step further, talking about the season. And then lastly, it's also talking about where someone might be going, right? Going to grandma's house. The journey on the track is approaching. The station is near. Maybe it's some sort of feast time. It could be like, American Thanksgiving, something like that. And she did clarify that it's snuggle in, so leaves fall away, roots snuggle in. So thank you for sharing that. Beautiful, lovely. And let me encourage you to share here in the chat. And if you share on social media, I will, at the end of our live stream, I will show you where it is and how it is that you can do that. Okay, and I'm going to move us to the second image. Here we are. Okay, so we've got our froggy. And so with that, again, another opportunity to take your photo. And I'm going to slide over to my working page. Okay, and give myself some space. Here we go. Okay, so I've got my phone with the image on it. And let's see, where do we go? So again, what is just right there in front of us is the frog climbing this bird of paradise. So there's kind of a little play that I like there. So frog and bird. What can we do with that? Frog, I'll just start with the obvious. Frog climbs bird. Frog climbs, actually, let's highlight because there's so much red in there, or colorful. Colorful, there's too many syllables. So maybe we can share from another line, but I'll just start with frog climbs red. Let's see now here. Bird rungs lead upward. This one's a little more esoteric. Bird rungs lead upward. Let's see now here. What lies? What is it that frog is trying to do? What is it that the bird is taking him to? Bird rungs lead upward. Let's maybe go with an unknown, because we don't really know where the frog is going. We don't really know why he's climbing. To his destination. Okay, so that is 4. Frog climbs red. Bird rungs lead upward. 2. Let's change that around because we can just in this moment change. Frog climbs red. Bird rungs lead upward to his destination. Okay, so now we've kind of encapsulated the first piece. What else is there? So notice the stance of the frog. He's got, one arm up and one arm down, and then he's got one leg sort of on that same level at that lower hand, and then one. So maybe that orientation of the frog. He looks very determined. Maybe he's just looking upwards at that that one flower that's open a little bit. Maybe there's something there that he sees that we don't. And I'm using his just as a generic pronoun. I mean nothing by it. Just an identifier. What else is there? We have in the background these interesting, it's all these little camera circles, right? I'm sure there's an official term for them. So it's kind of a mottled green in circular form. What's going on there? And green, you can have green screen, so that sort of leads you down a pathway. Is there maybe something we can use about superimposing what's going on here against whatever all else? Maybe it's a studio. We just sort of make it up. So what is it that we want to focus on? I'm going to focus on that background because it's calling to me. So these green circle. Okay, so green amorphous, green amorphous, amorphous. I'm going to throw in ness, amorphousness, and spell check likes it. Wow. Okay. Green amorphousness. Background to amphibian efforts. Amphibian efforts. We are pulling out the big words right now. Background to amphibian efforts. Ooh, I am way over. Green amorphousness, background to amphibian efforts. background 2, amphibian. Okay, amphibians 4, efforts is 2, background 2. Okay, we're going to do it this way. We are going to take amphibian out, background 2 efforts, amphibian. I like that. Green amorphousness, background 2 efforts, amphibian. Using our big words, squeezing them in there. Why not? Because you got them, use them. If you don't got them, you don't got to use them. That's okay. What else do we want to highlight? So I'm going to come back to that little bit of an open flower that Froggy seems to be very, very, very interested in. And so maybe that's where he's going to. So flower tentative, right? Because it's not really open. So it's just like meh, sort of opening. Flower tentative, yep, 3, okay. Frog waits impatiently. Frog waits impatiently, okay, that's 6. And what's in there? What if there's a fly? And frog knows. Frog waits impatiently for dinner. For dinner buffet. Maybe there's more than one bug in there. And oh, look at that. We've put in all F's on the start. So that's something that's a little bit of fun too, right? A little incidental. Isn't that kind of cool? I'm going to see if I can maybe get one more out of here, if that's what we're, see if we can manage that. So to my eye, whoops, these bird of paradise flowers look very much like crab claws. And so that's sort of an interesting little thing. So can we relate bird of paradise to crab claws? So bird of paradise, and red, that would mean that the crabs are cooked. No, because that's lobster, right? Let's change it. Lobster claws, or cooked lobster, cooked lobster claw. Or cooked lobster claws. Let's see now here. They looks delicious. Okay, good. And so that is our working with the these two images. Okay, so I'm going to bring us back to our breathe and stretch. Here we go. So we went kind of long. Part of it was the whole sound thing, so I do apologize. But let's just take an opportunity now to breathe in and stretch. And out. Sorry, I left you hanging. Don't ever feel like you have to exhale with me. Exhale when you want. Inhale when you want. That's part of the freedom of breathing. It's a guideline. Okay. Now that we've done that, I do want to get to one more thing, and I know that I am running short of time. Thank you, Alicia, for letting me know. It's just something that I want to introduce within our pantser section, and it will be a, let's see now here, boom, 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 here we go. I've brought it up. So pantser time. Okay, seed word germination, the personal perspective version. So what am I talking about? When we do seed word generation, I developed it originally as a means to help myself and hopefully others to battle the blank page. So you just start with a word and then you associate words down in a list, and that's really all they're supposed to be, is just words in a list. And they are there to help you develop a prompt, and then from the prompt you make the story. So what we were bantering, Alicia and I, the other day, and she said, you know, there is this thing that you can do, I think, is instead of just associating words because they're grammatically clever, what if they were a little bit more personal? So now this is the personal perspective version of seed word germination. So let me scroll. Okay, so this just goes through and summarizes what I just said, so I'm going to move on. So we can also use seed word germination for mindful personal growth and exploration. Each word is picked not because it's clever or has some sort of grammatical relationship, but because it evokes something personal, right? So this is the idea where you are going to be picking words because they mean something to you, not necessarily to anybody else, not necessarily because they rhyme or whatever. Let me show you an example. And scrolling, here we go. So I pop this together. So I started with game, and technically I probably should have started with Xbox because that's what I was looking at when I came up with game. Xbox is sort of my afternoon, free the mind, just do stuff, and it's just a way to sort of, you know, let myself go for a bit. So Xbox. Xbox then relates to game, which is a way to relax. Okay? From game is time, a necessary part of my creativity. And from time, it goes to precious, because there's so often so little available, right? We all have busy lives. There is just so much that's going on. So let's move on now. From precious to imagination, which is another precious part of my creativity. I need that time, and I need that freedom to imagine. And if you remember from Neil Gaiman's article, his essay, imagination is part of where your ideas come from, right? You get them when you're bored, you get them when you're daydreaming, or like, you know, when you're imagining. So then we have, from imagining, we have focus. So being able to stay on a particular mental thread, because the imagination, if it runs wild and it goes everywhere, how do you possibly capture that? It's a very difficult thing to do. Staying focused, right? And so that we saw that before on the exercise with the haikus. We're staying focused on a particular prompt, and then we work it, and then we let it go, and we can move on to the next focus, right? So we can imagine, we focus, when we imagine, we focus. And then lastly, martial arts. Something physical requiring focus, which is absolutely true. And I studied martial arts years ago. So that is also part of it, right? And so each thing that comes up is not here because it is necessarily related grammatically. It's related because it's within me. It's my experience, my thoughts, my feelings, my likes, my dislikes. Okay? And you can do that too. And so on, and so on. And so as an exercise, and I'm not going to work it here because we are starting to run short of time, is to run through that exercise for yourself and start with a word, any word, and then see where it goes and see how you feel. I wouldn't suggest starting with anything that's like deeply personal or attached to you right from the start, because that can be a little bit of, it can be very powerful, but can also be a bit daunting and offsetting. If you start with I, which is how I start seed word germination when I don't know what else to start with, I start with me, myself, I. Well, if I start I and I go like, what's personal? Like, everything's personal. Wow, okay. Back off there, buddy. Okay, so we don't want to start with something that close. Start with something that's a little bit, further away. So a word suggestion is think. So, and I just took think from I think, therefore I am. Have you read any philosophy? Maybe that applies. Maybe it's what I think. Maybe something particular that I think, or that I think is important, or something I don't think is important. Something people tell me should be important, that I should think that is important. All right? You can go in different directions, different ways. And as a last thought on this, don't pay attention to only the words that want to show up on the page. Think of the words that don't want to, right? Where you've got resistance, where you say, no, that's biting too close, or people wouldn't like that, or, right? This is your list, your reasons, you as a person putting yourself onto the page, right? No one needs to see this, right? You can go through the shredder, it can go into the garbage, it can go away, right? This is only for you. Okay, so having worked that example already, I think that is a perfect time to start wrapping things up. So before I do that, I do want to bring up my creative space haiku, or my drawing expressions haiku. A creative space, holistically supportive. Please like, share, subscribe. Okay, and please do. All right, now, if you wanted to share your work on social media, there is the hashtag. I know Alicia's already put it up into chat. We have a link tree, and it has all of our links to all of the different ways that you can get a hold of us and reach us and interact. Let's see now here. And then if you want to email us, there's the email address. And so with that, thank you for being patient with me as I was working through our sound issue, because I've been watching and the monitor has been saying the sound's working all the time except when that few seconds when it wasn't. So I don't know, an errant electron. Anyway, thank you, and I hope to see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Or same DX time, same DX channel. Okay, take care. Oops. And I almost hit the wrong thing.